Good. How you doing?
Good, good. So tell me about your education.
My education has developed my skills in research, analyzing, and enabled me to make educated decisions based on my analysis through accounting and communications, marketing, and various other courses. Through accounting, I have went over SEC filings and various other case studies to give a well thought out, educated consultation based upon the evidence I found within the SEC filings and case studies, as well as the ability to find discrepancies in various other things, given tax advice. My communications and marketing has allowed me to hone in on my public speaking public speaking consultations and holding meetings, leading a group in a consultation, as well as a presentation. My education has given me all the skills that I will need to complete this job.
Yeah, very nice. So tell me about your work experience.
My work experience has been a wonderful life. I've worked on many skills, especially in leadership, the ability to read, comprehend, understand, strategize, and teach, inform others about laws, regulations, and rules of the company. I've spent many times giving work studies, training sessions, and other things to facilitate a healthy work environment that all are informed of what they're supposed to do and how it's supposed to be done. Working at AutoZone and in the military both has given me wonderful skills in that and helped me polish and further advance my career. I think that in that would be a great benefit to your corporation. And
Okay. Now I want to know about your leadership skills.
my leadership. At the military and various other jobs I've had, I've been given the honor of leading others into different situations. I pride myself on the fact that I lead by example. I take my time when I make a decision. I ensure I have all the knowledge and information needed to make a good, coherent decision based on all the facts. Never to rush and come to a hasty decision. Never to rush or come to a hasty decision. The military has put me in charge of various different functions over the years and has helped, as well as AutoZone, being a parts and sales manager, making that position within the first couple months, and even after the first year offered the assistant manager position. I've to 30 employees at AutoZone, as well as anywhere from 10 to 20, maybe 30 people at the military. I've been put in charge of millions of dollars worth of equipment in the military and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of inventory at AutoZone. And it has just taught me to definitely persevere.
Now I want to know a little bit about your weakness.
I've been given the wonderful opportunity to be able to overcome a situation that has come on very suddenly in the recent months, due to the loss of vision while going to school after I was retired from the Army. In the middle of my fall semester, I had to learn to quickly adapt and overcome, changing my ways of my study habits, how people learn, and had to do so while attending the university and maintaining my grades. My goals were to simply find a form of textbook that I can use, find the best way of note-keeping, and the best route on completing my homework, all of which has led me to technology, which has only further benefited my knowledge when I joined your company. It has allowed me to look at things through a different perspective, go at it at a little different angle, and maybe a better person, and actually improve my grades from a 3.3 to a 3.5. That's pretty much.
Okay. Cut it here. So give me an example of a time when you had to deal with frequent job changes or unexpected events on the job. What does this situation say about your ability to work in an ambiguous or unstructured circumstance?
While my time in the military was wonderful, I was mobilized overseas. And typically when you're sent overseas, you usually fall in under another unit. So as you're coming in, you're shadowing another unit that's leaving. So we get to shadow with them, and the transition usually takes about 2 weeks and is made to be as seamless as possible. Unfortunately, where we were sent, they needed more convoy security units in that area to facilitate more supply lines. So we were not able to fall under a unit that was already existing. There was no structure or anything there to adapt to. I was put in charge of facilitating 4 basic things: a working motor pool that was organized and structured, buildings that met standards. The buildings we were given were actually subpar, had no electricity and holes in the walls, and that was needed to be brought up to date and up to code so we could be used. A hazmat system with a hazmat and equipment and all the other things to make us, mobilization ready, mission ready, and a security system to be put in place to protect all of our sensitive items. So I went about it by quickly prioritizing and starting with the most important first by coordinating the repairs on the building with the local nationals, which has allowed me to learn cross-cultural skills dealing with various other nationalities, and all the contracted employees that the military had hired that were locals to get all the work done. I had to facilitate a working motor pool that was organized, made sense, and was going to allow quick mounts and dismounts of the vehicles, loading and unloading. My next goal after those were established was to acquire hazmat materials, work with the contracted civilians that were EPA and OSHA personnel, worked with them directly to figure out, show them our site, figure out what they wanted, how they wanted it to look, and where the local pickup sites were so they could pick up our waste and dispose of them. Working with them, also at the same time implementing a security system, designing gates and entrance points. Basically, the result was we were given a week to become training ready and a month to be mission ready, and we made the training ready on time and were ready for mission and started our missions within 3 weeks. That's pretty much
very nice. So now give me an example of a time when you had to be assertive.
Let's see. A good time I was working at AutoZone, and there was a woman that had concerns, and she was voicing these concerns to an employee. I realized the employee needed some, well, the customer and the employee needed some help. So I interjected in the situation, and I asked the lady very empathetically what the problem was and how I would be able to facilitate, her needs. She expressed to me that the employee had ordered the wrong parts. It took 2 weeks to get the parts in. She can't wait for another part, and that she called around all the other places and we were the cheapest, and that's why she came to us. So after talking with her, she had explained to me that there was another auto parts store in the neighborhood that had the parts in stock, and that basically what happened was the employee had ordered 2 right-hand parts when she needed a right hand and a left hand. So I called the auto parts store that had one in stock. It was significantly more expensive. I asked for the manager that was there. I asked him to verify it was still on the shelf, and he did. And I asked him what he could do about the price. So I got him down within $10 of our price. And I gave her a store refund on our price on ours for the right hand part, and facilitated the extra $10, gave the $10 to her to make up the difference in cost. And she was very satisfied. Napa had the part ready for her to pick up when she got there.
Okay, now please describe a time you encountered a roadblock.
I was in the military and we were doing training. We were working on training missions to go overseas, and it's pretty much like a week-long process. They put you through extremely stressful situations, sleep deprivation, things like that, to see how well you're going to react and how well you make decisions under pressure. Our leader I assisted our leader in making I gave my leader suggestions on sleeping arrangement for 12-hour shifts, because initially he made the call that everybody's up as soon as we got there and began working. I persuaded him by breaking us into 2 sections and 12-hour shifts, because we were going to be needed 24 hours a day. So I explained to him the necessity to have the 2 shifts so that there would be some rested for the nighttime for when our next, otherwise we're all going to be running 24 hours. And I had already a schedule offered to him to be implemented. He looked over the schedule and he agreed to implement the shifts.
All right, for the last question, I would like to know, why should I hire you?
I feel that everything that I've done in my life has been given me the skills to offer the IRS the best candidate for the job. I believe the things I have, the education I've specifically built around for a job at the IRS. I've tailored myself to become a full member within the IRS, and I feel I am 100% capable of doing this job.
Okay, that's all the questions that I have for you. Do you have any keys to success in this organization, or any questions about this organization?
Yes, I would like to know, what are the things the IRS looks for to be successful in this position, to succeed in this position, and to actually move on, become a productive member within this organization.
Okay.
How you doing?
Great, Gary. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So if you would tell me about your education.
Yeah, I have a strong skill sets that are relevant to Korean Air. I have a strong skill sets on finance, economy, mathematics, diversity, and technology. Airline industry has a lower margin than other industries, and it's crucial to reduce the cost, minimizing the risk on investment, and maximizing the capacity of the flights. From my managerial accounting course, I learned how to reduce the cost, and from my finance courses, I learned how to minimize the risk of the investment by hedging them, and from my statistic courses, I learned how to maximize the capacity of the flights so that Korean Air can actually maximize the profit. As a president of Asian Pacific Society and a co-communicator of International Student Society, I learned how to accept other cultures and how can I efficiently distribute my cultures to others. From my foreign friends, I learned multi-cultures that I can share Korean Air and help Korean Air to expand more internationally. I know how to use Excel, PowerPoint, StatCrunch, and Word, Microsoft Word, to efficiently work for the Korean Air. That's it.
Okay. If you would, tell me a little more about your experience.
From my work experience, I learned essential values that businessmen need to have. First, how to cooperate with others. Second, how to understand others' opinion. Third, how to give a solution that both groups or indifferent groups can satisfy. When I was a squad leader while I was serving the military, since I was employed to Korean government, but worked for U.S. military, I always adjust the different thoughts between the Korean and American group. Korean soldiers get a Korean holiday off since they belong to Korean government, but U.S. soldiers don't. Before the holiday, both Korean and U.S. soldiers have to pass the inspection that is crucial on evaluation. That requires a really high standard. I suggest to U.S. soldiers that Korean soldiers would like to overwork to meet the goal to pass the inspection. We worked until the job gets done, and the first sergeant of the U.S. Army side was happy about it. From this experience, I learned how to cooperate with others by adjusting and talking others, and how to understand others' opinion by thinking U.S. soldiers don't get a holiday, but we have a same goal to approach and same goal to meet. And I learned how to give a solution that both groups can satisfy by working equal amount of time to meet a same goal.
Okay. If you would tell me a little more about your leadership.
As a squad leader in military, I managed, supervised, counseled. I supervised and managed about 10 soldiers up to 60 soldiers, depending on a situation. I conducted a daily counseling session for junior soldiers to transact civilian life to military life successfully and smoothly, and talk about any of their concerns or problems to make them comfortable where they are. Daily counseling is an essential responsibility for me, because higher ranking soldiers cannot monitor all the soldiers that they have in charge of details. I had a responsibility to report and resolve any problems that 10 soldiers most of the time they may have. One of the soldiers brought up a family issue and uncertainty of his future during the personal daily session. I suggested him to focus on what you can do right now and postpone what you cannot do right now later, because later. After a while, he talked to his parents to talk about his family issue, and he told me that he resolved the problem about his future uncertainty by acting and taking my suggestion to take a language course so that he can use for his near future. And he wanted to be a squad leader when my term was over, so he had to learn more English, and he signed up for an English course as well. When my term as a squad leader was over, he took a squad leader position, and he conducted a daily counseling meeting just like I did when I had the responsibility of a daily counseling. Another leadership experience relates to setting up a goal and reach to the goal is as a president of International Club, president and founder of International Club in high school. I plan out that International Club will have a international affair, and my goal was to maximize the student participant. I gave a number of the teachers, the executive members, to talk and persuade why international affair is crucial and how it's going to benefit to students. After they talked to them and I talked to them, we had about more than 50% of student body participated in the international affair. After I graduated from high school, the once a year international affair has been continued and successfully designed. Lastly, I'm selected as the president of Asian Pacific Society, as I mentioned before, and we'll conduct bi-weekly executive meetings and planning on conducting once a month journal member meeting. I'll plan the possible activities with the given budget so that activities will be able to conduct it, and will conduct and will help the club to grow and distribute more diversity at Xavier University.
Okay, great. If you would tell me about a weakness that you see in yourself.
I'm proud of that. I achieved 3.857 out of 4 on GPA on spring semester that I just had while I was taking 20 credits for spring semester. From perspective, earlier on the college degree process, I achieved a much lower grade average point. I learned from military that how to manage the limited time efficiently, and how to set up multiple priority duties and complete it right way, and how to being disciplined myself about what I do all the time.
Okay, great. Instead of using authority, describe to me a situation where you led by example.
Yeah, since all Korean male has to go to military, most of the time they lose a motivation to being a soldier. That's a point that I have to point of view that I changed to positive by by influencing them, being an example. In my unit, we conducted a physical training every morning and military board, which is a interview about military knowledge every month. Most of the soldiers did not want to actively participate on physical training and military board, since they thought that those will not affect on their future when they are out of the military. I consider two ways: forcing and using authority to change their behavior, or show how the physical training and activity, how the physical training and active mindset for military board by being an example. I chose to influencing them, showing what should be done by being an example. I ran harder and faster to be an example, and told them we maybe use this stamina to have an energy after the work to invest your future for your interest. Idea of physical fitted personnel can have more confidence in the military or out of military. Instinct and motivated to become a high up to better themselves and proud of themselves. In addition, extra day off by reaching to higher score. Regarding of military board, it's unusual to participate on military board of the month as a squad leader, but I participated to be an example. Soldiers ask, why would you do that? But I answered, I believe the military board will give a confidence to present your ideas in front of audiences, and when you become a businessman, you have to persuade and meet the expectation to customers to successfully meet the requirements that an organization requires you. After that, junior soldiers more actively participated in physical training, and as a result, our unit reached to the highest physical training score in the battalion. In addition, soldiers won military board of the month and quarter for more than 2 consecutive years.
It's been said that one of the best ways to manage a group is to teach that group how to manage themselves. Tell me about a time when you allowed the group to structure their own.
When I was a squad leader, I managed 10 soldiers, and there were 3 sections. Each section has a section leader who was managed by me. After a month later, I took a squad leader position. 2 of the 3 section leaders actually came up to me and tell me that they are having a hard time to manage their junior soldiers to get the work done, and has a little conflict between them and their junior soldiers. I counseled him that maybe you can give more time to junior soldiers, because depending on the person, one may take longer time to learn and adjust to the new atmosphere. So giving more time, be patient, and giving more examples that they can actually learn. After 2 weeks, two of the three section leaders, all of them who talked to me about this issue, came to me and they said it worked. By showing, give them a more time and more example and being patient. It's a concept of let them have a time to manage themselves to successfully meet the goal or standard. I still communicate with junior soldiers that counseled by two of the section leaders. That whenever they have concerns, they always talk to me, and I always suggest them to give them a time if they have a junior soldiers that they're in charge of, and let them figure out how to manage themselves in a new atmosphere.
What is your experience with explaining or giving instructions to others? Tell me about a situation involving management or teaching others.
Yeah, one of my English tutoring students was accepted to second-ranked private college in Japan and need to meet a requirement on a certain score on the English fluency test. His score was 42 out of 120, and he need to meet a requirement of 60 out of 120. He has a time about 6 months before he applies to college, and I was in charge of him about 2 months. Before I start tutoring session, I thought that it's better idea to give a pre-exam to figure out which part I have to most work on to improve his score. And I figured out that his listening ability was, his listening score was less than the other parts. So during the session, I read descriptions so that he can listen to description slowly, and when he's out of the tutoring session, he can actually play the listening file over and over again until he understands. I gave him how to study during the tutoring session, and I planned out what he's supposed to do when he's not in the tutoring session. His score was improved 42 to 68, which was above the requirement, and his parents and himself was happy and appreciated on my planning and teaching skill.
Okay. If you would, tell me why we should hire you.
I have a highly relevant education, personal qualities relate to the job description. I know how to apply the thoughts to reduce a cost and maximize capacity of the flights by using a statistical knowledge and minimizing the risk by hedging investment. I'm familiar with multiple cultures and how to cooperate with differences by looking at their view, not my view. Now, these skills will be able to use for proactive mind criteria. I know how to cooperate with others, importance to understand others, and proceed a solution that benefits both groups. Managing, supervising, and counseling are also familiar topic for me from the military experience and leadership role that I have taken from military, president of the club and founder of the club. This will coordinate as a good member as well. Lastly, I learned how to manage the limited time efficiently and set up multiple priority duties that have to be completed. Those abilities that I have are suitable for proactive mind, multicultural sensitivity, customer service, and being a good team member that Korean Air is looking for. From this skill, I'm the suitable candidate for Korean Air.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I do. Currently, Emirates Airline, which is considered as one of your biggest competitor, about 90 A380 aircrafts, and those will be delivered by 2015 to 2016. What's Korean Air's strategy to have a Middle East market, since Emirates Airline bought so big aircrafts to expand their business, and what would Korean Air do to compete Emirates Airline efficiently?